Well, happy ECB Day, the Governing Council announcing their latest policy decision this afternoon, but frankly, do not be going expecting anything exciting. Even by the standards of ECB decisions, today is unlikely to be a particularly interesting event. The deposit rate almost certain to be held steady at 2%, maintaining a pause that's been in place since the summer, with the Governing Council likely to vote unanimously in favour of that action, and the accompanying policy statement almost certain to reiterate what is now very, very familiar policy guidance that the ECB will continue to take a data-dependent and meeting-by-meeting approach to future decisions, with the policy path not being on any sort of preset course. President Lagarde likely to mirror those comments at the post-meeting press conference, while again noting that policy is in a good place, that the disinflationary process in the Eurozone is at an end, and that risks to the economic outlook, particularly in terms of growth, are now more balanced. This would mark the third straight meeting where the ECB have stood pat on policy, and for all intents and purposes, the easing cycle is now done and dusted. My firm expectation is that the deposit rate will now remain at 2%, which seems to be its terminal level, until at least the end of 2026. You may get some of the more dovish members on the Governing Council pushing for another cut in December, depending on what the next round of staff macroeconomic projections look like. But frankly, the current projections already point to an inflation undershoot in both 2026 and in 2027, and that doesn't seem to be bothering policymakers too much. So it looks very much as if the ECB are done and dusted with easing for the time being. The next move will probably be a hike, although that is not for some time to come, lest there be a resurgence in trade risks or an unexpected appreciation in the euro. Policymakers in Frankfurt likely to just stand pat and sit on their hands for the time being. And frankly, today's policy decision is unlikely to significantly alter that base case, and it's also unlikely to inject much by way of volatility into the euro or into EGBs either.